Welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate Playbook. This is episode number 75, and this week's guest is none other than Kyle Ayers. Kyle, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Excellent. So, Kyle, one thing we like to do kind of when we start these podcasts is take a trip down memory lane. Obviously, for you, it's going to be a shorter trip. You haven't been in real estate too much. But why don't you talk about the process, kind of really what intrigued you about real estate, what got the wheels churning to start to get licensed, and that journey to where you're at today?
All right. So I'll be honest. I was a college student at Young Harris up in the North Georgia Mountains, Division II school. I played college baseball. Got out of college and kind of got on LinkedIn like everyone else probably does, and just was kind of filling out a lot of applications every day and stuff like that. And I didn't really have much success. I didn't really find a way to separate myself from other candidates as much. So I was like, kind of trying to find an outlet of.
What was your background, like school, and what kind of jobs were you looking for?
So management. I wanted to kind of do project manager, climb the corporate ladder, stuff like that.
Got it.
So, I kind of got around to the feeling of, okay, I like real estate. It's business related. Can use leadership skills in that. So it's just kind of like, I kind of want to have not necessarily flexibility, just something that, I can decide how much work I put into something and kind of what I get in return as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So why don't you talk a little bit about that too? Because obviously you kind of come into the brokerage. How long have you been in real estate now, licensed and practicing?
6 months.
6 months. And you're obviously, for most newer agents, getting to into production at a high level quicker than most. So one thing we like to try to do is try to find, if we find any commonality, what are some of the attributes you have, maybe a skill set you picked up in your past that allows you to get into production quicker than other agents. I'll kind of go off, one thing that you brought up that I've seen personally is old buddy of mine used to have a phrase, was never trust a guy, never play team sports. And I think there's a lot that goes into that. In real estate, you do have a team, you're kind of part of that team, and you being on a baseball team, you understand the importance of working together, sacrifice, discipline. There's a lot of things that you're going to pick up and develop where it becomes a subconscious kind of skill set for you that allows you to carry over in the workplace.
Right.
So, you saying kind of playing ball, especially at a high level there in Georgia, definitely I could see is a lot of that skill, helped you kind of transition into real estate. But in regards to your past, has there been any other job experience, or was it just playing ball or anything that you picked up along the way?
So, obviously college baseball, all fall, all spring, basically is a full-time job. And then during the summers, our college coaches would send us away to like other states. I came to Florida a couple of times, had a couple opportunities to go up north and play in the collegiate summer ball leagues, just to try to get like your name out there and try to get some exposure.
Is it almost like a showcase type of thing?
Well, it's basically a summer league that's meant for draft prospecting, essentially, to try to get to the draft, try to get to the next level. So it was kind of that. I had one summer where I didn't go play. That summer I worked at Perfect Game. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but it's a big travel ball sporting facility. I also coached some too. Okay. So, but really, college baseball, that 4 years I pretty much spent grinding away and putting kind of all my whole heart into that. So.
And I kind of learned, the discipline of having to schedule a regiment.
Yeah, and
practice.
Time management, discipline. It's all the stuff you were saying is, managing class with sports and weightlifting and meetings and film and kind of everything else that goes into it. You kind of subconsciously, like you said, learn all those skills that, I didn't realize then, but I realize now are helping me in the real world.
And I think, too, it's kind of coming in because you have a calmer demeanor, especially for most kind of your age. And I think it's a way that you can just stay calm and process the chaos. I think real estate is very chaotic, a lot of highs, a lot of lows. You're on that roller coaster, especially starting off. There's so much shit getting thrown your way. And you kind of having that balance, it's almost like you don't get rattled too much when things come up.
That's the goal. Like you said, baseball kind of harped on that, but you're absolutely right. I mean, coming into the industry, it's kind of like you feel almost like a fish in a circle of sharks kind of, but stuff kind of highs, lows, everything kind of goes different whiches of ways. And I think, just keeping composed and staying calm is a big part of it for sure.
Absolutely. So obviously you're kind of going through, you're looking on LinkedIn, trying to find, project management type jobs, work your way up the corporate ladder. You're not having too much success. You're like, hey, let me try this real estate thing. While I'm still looking at this, it's not to say that it's, scratched off the list. Maybe I come back to it, not having luck now. Let me go dabble into real estate. you get licensed, you start working. I always like to ask this, what was the one thing that you didn't expect when you started off in real estate?
Oh, that's a great question. And it's hard to answer that.
And if you got a couple, that's fine. But there's a lot of people who probably are tuning into this podcast or kind of contemplating it.
Right.
And you see all the good things, right? You watch the TV show that's on the house, how easy it is. But once you really got in and you experienced the process, what's something that you didn't expect or might have taken for granted? You're like, oh, shit, I didn't see that coming.
I'll say contracts.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't start here. I was at another brokerage for about 2 months. And I didn't have much business there, just kind of getting my feet wet. Got a lot of good training, just not a lot of business, not a lot of lead generation. But contracts as a whole, I will say the first time I read over a contract, I was like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yeah, there's a lot to it, right?
A lot to learn right here. And it's even tough, like, because there's all kind of scenarios and circumstances that in a contract, you know, no contract's the same. There's no cookie cutter. Mm-hmm. Like there's always some sort of variable, as you know. So
it's just not filling in the blanks.
Exactly. Contracts were definitely, to answer your question, that's probably my definition.
Yeah, and I think that there's a lot of places that don't emphasize the importance of those contracts, and it's not just like, hey, you get the address, the price, the parcel number, the names, and some other variables to the contract, but also, I think it's like reading it and then the way it's written, right? It's written by attorneys.
Exactly.
And for whatever reason, I think they have a different language pattern and maybe even speak a different language than the rest of us.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. You know, you're right on that. I mean, just I remember reading some of the blips on the contract for the first time, and I'm just like, I don't, all right, let me reset here because I'm not even sure what any of that meant.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, right now, you seem to be find a groove. You know, relatively new, 6 months in real estate, 4 months here with our brokerage, getting to production at a rapid pace. What are some of the things that you're kind of putting in place now as you're starting to evolve as an agent? You're starting to you got your first listing recently, you got several buyers under contract. What are some of the things that you're putting in place to kind of ensure that not only are you going to maintain the success you have now, but allow you to grow at a higher capacity?
Yeah, I'd say communication, follow-up is pretty much the most vital part. Just being able to stay in front of people, stay in front of these people that you meet and, you know, stay in front of them at a high level, but also to add value to their situation and, you know, kind of showcase your skills in that sense, just so you're not a door opener, if that makes sense. Just that, just staying in front of people, communicating, and also scheduling too. I really never realized the importance of an actual calendar until I got to 54, and now I'm kind of, you know, really honing in on how to be really strategic when I set my calendar up. So I know, hey, when I'm going into a week, as of right now, I got this time blocked off. I got this, and this, and just kind of staying organized, and it keeps your head in the right space and be able to prepare for what you got going on.
100%, because a lot of times, you know, if it's not in the calendar, a lot of times you see it doesn't get done, regardless of how strong the intent was. And it's probably similar to when you were in school, right? You had, I don't know exactly what you're using, but you knew on these days, these times, I got to be in class here. I got to be at practice there. So you kind of had the discipline of working a schedule, but probably not to the magnitude here where it's like, damn, my whole life's in this thing now.
Right.
And there's so many moving components. I want to do a deeper dive a little bit just so if people have some more questions, communication, because I think, you know, there can be a lot that goes into the communication. I know you said trying to be in front of the clients more, you know, so they kind of don't forget about you. They kind of are associating when they think of real estate, they think of Kyle. When you're talking about the communication, is it more of, hey, I just need to make sure I'm responding promptly, or is it, hey, I really want to get that face-to-face interaction?
So it's both. You know, it's definitely both, but I'll say the importance of electronically, obviously, but in person too, adding value to those customers in that communication setting. You know, you don't want to be opening the door and just, hey, look around, let me know if you have any questions. I'll text you in 2 weeks to see what you thought of the property. It's more like, hey, you know, lenders are offering these programs right here. You got the Hometown Heroes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Here's some programs. Here's some rate buy down options. You know, just kind of
bringing value.
Exactly. And diving deeper into the actual transaction and stuff that they are going to need to know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think just too is the main thing is the bringing value component. You don't want to hit them with spam, just throw them on a drip. There's so much bullshit people are receiving these days, mostly in the form of email. Sometimes, you know, you're going to get it in text. But I think that, hey, making those phone calls, trying to have those conversations verbally on the phone, if not using a little bit of video, but to get that face-to-face where they kind of remember you and you continue to build upon that and then just continue to bring a value. As far as, so I know one of the things is schedule. So, kind of coming to real estate, it's probably, the first time I'm thinking that you have a schedule, right? But you have the discipline to create your schedule. So coming into the real estate, you didn't have a schedule. Like you're like, whatever you're gonna do or accomplish that day, it was kind of on you. You're your own boss. Now, one thing that I try to promote more of that we rarely see here, as I'm sure you're aware, is hey, come to the office more, be around, just listen to what people are saying, see what it's like, to kind of get a feel for what people are saying. I think it's important to come to the office, and you were very disciplined in doing that. But a lot of the times people are wondering like a work-life balance. Like, what are some of the things so coming to work here, you kind of created the schedule. You said now, that you understand the importance of it, create the routine. There's a lot of stuff thrown in there. But what were some of the things going to create that? Take us back to somebody who doesn't have a schedule. They're abstract. They're coming in the doors 4 months ago. They're coming to a brokerage like 54 where they're going to get busy. They don't have a schedule or plan. They don't see the importance of that. How did you kind of hone in on that skill and slowly build your schedule out?
For me, and starting with the coming into the office thing, for me, I can't really work from home.
I can't either. So.
And I know that about myself.
Yeah.
So from the get-go, I'm like, okay, I got a 45-minute drive every day, but I'm going to wake up and go because I know that I'll be able to sit in that office and get work done. And not only that, you touched on it a little bit, but, the people in here, these are people that have been doing this for decades. And these people pretty much know every single answer to every single question.
There's no substitute for experience.
Exactly. And for me, I'm like, that was the most exciting part is I'm going to come in here every single day and I'm going to bounce ideas off of these people. I'm going to, learn as much as I can from these people because in the long run, that's going to help me.
And talk a little bit about that because I know a lot of agents, I think like, hey, I want to go in there. I'm not at the level I'm at. I don't have the skills I need to develop, but I don't want to go be a bother. I don't want to be a burden to anybody. And hey, they're busy, they're working. I don't want to go be a drain on their resources. Right. How was it embraced or how was it almost like pushed off when you tried to engage more with the top producers here and try to learn and kind of see exactly what it is they were doing?
I'll be 100% honest with you. You guys like Mike Peoples and stuff like that in here, even Allison as well. They were very receptive. They were actually seemed a little bit excited that I was kind of in here, like really trying to pick their brains on every single thing. And so, yeah, as far as how they received it, I think that they loved it. I think that they were happy to help. And I think that it makes them happy when, someone's taking the initiative to learn.
Yeah, and I think a common what I've found is a misperception, I guess you could say, is, you're dealing with a lot of negativity, but usually that negativity is fueled by somebody at your level or below you, right? Hey, somebody's jealous of where you're going or what you're doing. So that they either know that they're an equal, you might be surpassing them, or they're below you and they don't like the fact you're doing better than them. So they kind of find flaws and kind of have nothing but negative things to say. But typically, from my personal experience, I found that the people who are doing better than me, they're always willing to lend that hand to help me out. And I think that's one thing that I know you've taken advantage of that a lot of people, and I don't know, maybe talk about it. What was your perception? How did you think that was going to be received when you were coming and wanting help?
Yes, I'll be honest. My first week or two in the office, I kind of was just like learning everything, obviously, getting the customer management system under my belt, just kind of learning everything. I was on my own a lot. And then once people started coming through, going through the pre-approval process. People started wanting to see homes. People started getting serious about writing offers.
A lot of questions.
I had a lot of questions. I'll admit it. And, I say people in here were almost, hey, do you need anything in that sense? But I was never really worried about being a bother to someone because exactly what you said. Those people that are at the top, those people that are the top producers, they're always going to be willing to help by nature.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I don't think they have anything to lose. And honest to God, for most of these people in here, it's right off the top of their head. The questions you have, they're just going to bounce them right back at you.
Yeah, they know it. They definitely have skill set, been doing it a while.
Right.
And have a great group that kind of is always embracing the up-and-coming agents, who are showing their work and they're trying and kind of want to pull them up and see them succeed. So as far as obviously I want to say you built the foundation for what success is going to look like. You're starting to expand on that. What's one thing you're doing right now that you feel is going to help you have a higher level of success than you're currently at?
Yeah. So, I'll say this too is like out in public, like SOI type of deal. I'm really working hard to be social.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working hard to, when I go play golf on the weekends, I'm not going to set up a tee time by myself. I'm going to try to play with 4 people that I don't know and just kind of, talk, have those subsurface level conversations with people, get to know more people. The more people you know, the better. I hate to say it, but it's just the truth. And the more you're willing to get yourself out there, talk to these people that you don't know, the more success I believe you'll have. So I'd say that's one thing, is just being social.
Market yourself almost, self-promoting
Exactly.
almost by just engaging with people on things you like to do.
Exactly.
So cool, man. Well, it's been a pleasure having you. If you were to kind of give one tip for advice, maybe, Kyle, there's a new agent out there who's struggling. Maybe it's an agent who just got licensed and they're kind of debating what the next step is and how tough it's going to be. Or maybe it's somebody thinking about getting licensed, but they're like, hey, this might be a little bit tough or difficult, and they're kind of unsure if this is the path they want to go to. Maybe they're striking out on LinkedIn and, all those job marketplaces, Monster, and they're unable to find a job, and they're wondering if real estate's going to be a fit for them. What's the one tip for advice that you would give them for somebody contemplating to get into real estate, or maybe newly in real estate and struggling?
Okay, yeah. So for me, research was a huge component. Like, take it upon yourself and kind of engulf yourself in real estate if that's what you want, or even if you're contemplating doing it, kind of engulf yourself in it. Go online. There's so much information online nowadays, as everyone knows. So go online and learn as much as you can about every single thing about real estate. I mean, there's probably 6 million articles.
That's a million videos.
Yeah. Go out there and watch them, read them. I was Tom Ferry's at
YouTube, yeah.
Yep. I'm on YouTube just watching stuff even every day at night when I'm in bed bored.
Listening to it as almost, you can listen to the videos and just put them on a playlist when you're driving.
Exactly. And just so learn and also, the work ethic thing is obviously going to be there. But for me, I didn't want my work ethic to be kind of trapped in 9 to 5 personally. I didn't want it to be trapped in there. I wanted to know that I can work from, 7 to 7 instead. And the work that I put in will oftentimes directly correlate to success. So that was kind of the biggest positive for me in real estate, is I felt like the ball was almost in my court, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to get in what you put in, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So you're going to get out of it with how hard you want to work and put in. If you want to work 9 to 5, then that's kind of, you're probably not going to be too successful in this business.
Right, exactly.
So Kyle, for the audience out there, if there's a buyer out there in the Bay Area who's contemplating, hey, they're looking to partner with an agent, somebody to kind of help them facilitate their search and show them homes, or maybe it's a seller thinking about listing a home and looking for an agent to kind of get it on the market for them. What's the best? We're going to post this on our social media sites as well. But what's the best contact information? If you could, for the audience, give us an email and a telephone number best to reach at.
Yep. So my best email would be kyle@54realty.com. That would be KYLE@54realty.com. Best cell number is 727-502-6790.
All right, Kyle. Well, we greatly appreciate your time.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, definitely, man. We thank you for being a guest on this week's episode of the Real Estate Playbook, and we thank you all for tuning in to another episode, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.